friends at Be Still. My name is Kayla Stoecklein, and I am so honored to get to share my story with you today. In 2017, just a few years ago, I was living the life of my dreams. I had everything I could have ever wished for, ever asked for, and more. I was married to my dream guy. We were living in our dream home, and we were raising 3 beautiful boys together and in the trenches of full-time ministry. My husband was the lead pastor of our church, at a church of a staff about 35 people and a congregation of about 4,000 people. So we were right there in the thick of it, leading this large, thriving, growing church, and I loved my life. I really, truly, deeply loved my life. I loved what we were building together. I loved what we were doing together. I loved doing ministry with my husband. And then in the fall of 2017, he got sick. He started having panic attacks out of nowhere, and they were happening 2 to 3 times a week, and they were very terrifying, very debilitating. It would take over his whole body and it would change him. And so we were seeking treatment, trying to figure out what was going on in his body, and it took months and months and months, and he eventually had a major, massive panic attack in April of 2018 that landed him in the hospital, and we all just decided enough is enough. Like, we need to get to the bottom of this. This guy needs to rest. He needs to reset. He needs to something, like anything but what we were living. Like, he just needs to rest. So we put him on a sabbatical, and just a few weeks later, we were sitting in a psychiatrist's office, and the psychiatrist turned and looked at me and said, "Kayla, your husband has depression." And I was so shocked and I was so stunned that I didn't say anything. We walked slowly to the car, we slid into the car, and I turned and looked at my husband and I said, "How did we end up here? How did this happen to you? How did this happen to us? How did we wind up in a psychiatrist's office and he's telling me that you have depression? Like, how did this happen?" I was so shocked. I was so confused. And my husband was actually relieved to have a diagnosis. He was relieved to finally know what was going on inside of his body. And he was confident, and the doctors were confident that he was going to be back on his feet in no time. And so we spent the whole summer doing everything we knew to do to get him better. He was seeing a psychiatrist every other week. We were seeing a therapist together for 2 hours every single week. He was taking medication. We went on a road trip, just the 2 of us without kids, to get away. He went on solo trips by himself. He went and spent time with mentors. Like, we really were doing everything we knew to do to get him better. And by July of 2018, the doctors actually thought he was getting better. And so they thought the next step in his healing journey would be for him to return to work. So on August 1st, 2018, Andrew hit the ground running and gave 2 powerful messages on mental illness. He called the series Hot Mess, and he was using his own example, his own experience as the example. And he shared statistics about depression. He talked about anxiety. He shared stats from the NAMI website. He talked about suicide. He gave out the suicide hotline number. Of anybody, he would have known where to go to get help. Well, headed into the 3rd weekend, Andrew had a really awful day at the office. There was a trigger, and his mind was still broken. He was still sick. He wasn't at 100%. He was about 50 to 65% when he went back to work, is what he told us. He wasn't fully healed. He wasn't fully well, but he was trying to ease back into ministry. And so his broken mind just couldn't think clearly. And so we quickly realized, like, he is not well and he is not ready to be back at work. And so while we were away from him for just a little bit, while we were taking the next steps for his healing, calling inpatient places, talking to other pastors, trying to figure out what to do next, scheduling guest speakers for Sunday, while we were doing that, he attempted suicide. And we were shocked. We were stunned. Like, we really, truly, deeply never saw it coming. He was rushed to the hospital. The doctors ran a bunch of tests, and unfortunately, they said there was nothing they could do. And the next day, on August 25th, 2018, my beautiful husband, the wonderful pastor of our church, the father of my 3 sons, passed away and went to be with Jesus. And like many of you, I was handed a brand new life that I never saw coming, that I never would have asked for, and that I didn't get a choice if I could live. I was forced to live it and step into it whether I liked it or not. And so here I am. It's been 2 years since my husband passed away, and my mantra for my life today is rebuilding beautiful. And really, that's what I feel like I'm doing every single day. I make the choice to get out of bed, to step into this unwanted life, and to pin my hope in Jesus and deeply, truly believe that my life can be beautiful one day again. And as I've journeyed on this new path of building a new life, I've also become a mental health advocate. And so since my husband passed away, I've been very open about our story, and I've been sharing our journey, and I've been talking about my regrets and my mistakes and what I've learned in hindsight. And I even spent some time writing a book, my first book. It's called Fear Gone Wild, a story of mental illness, suicide, and hope through loss. Releases everywhere books are sold on September 8th. And really my heart behind it all is that it would help all of us view mental illness through a new lens of empathy and love. Friends, if you've lost someone you love to suicide, my heart just goes out to you. It is such a difficult grief journey, and there's so many swirling thoughts and regrets and mistakes, and it is so hard. And I just want to say, you are not alone in your pain, but your life can still be beautiful, even though you have this deep, unrelenting pain that will be with you for the rest of your life. You can choose to build a beautiful life around it, and I truly believe that with God, beauty is still possible. You know, God has been so kind to us. I have another mantra that I love to share. It's called God's Got This. Our family really adopted that mantra when my father-in-law Dave was diagnosed with leukemia in 2011, and it's been this phrase that's held us up. And it's a reminder that no matter what we go through in life, we serve a God who is not distant and detached. We serve a God who is close. We serve a God that is close to the brokenhearted and comforts those who are crushed in spirit. Like He is weeping right beside us. He is walking right beside us. He is holding our hand and leading us. And no matter what we go through, He is sovereign. He is good. He is faithful. He is in control, and He is going to help us take the next step. I love you, friends. I'm honored to share my story. I'm praying for your time together. Thanks so much.